Hey everybody, this is the first ever episode of Sports Goofs. I just want to do a little bit of a introduction to everybody who's listening to our podcast for the first time and starting with the first episode. We started back in 2018 in March, and believe me, we had no idea what we were doing. In fact, it wasn't even really a podcast. It was a live show that streamed on YouTube, and we basically did that for almost about 2.5 years before we decided to finally put it on a podcast platform. And since then, we have made great improvements. If you listen to this first episode, we do not sound very good. We sound incredibly awful. I had a potato for a mic, and it was just kind of bland. Our personalities hadn't fleshed out, including one of the guys that didn't even stick around for more than 2 episodes. So we would eventually get Charles in on the fun. And me and Andrew have been together pretty much the entire history of the show. And now we're a lot more lively. We kind of sort of know what we're doing. We do a live show and a podcast version afterwards. We have sponsors now. We have a nice listenership. And we have some fans. We have Patreon. We have everything. And it's been a long time coming for this, and I'm pretty glad that it's happening. And I just want to introduce this to people. You see, this is what I do for doing this spontaneously. But we try hard, and we hope that you guys will stick around with us. And please don't judge us on this first episode because it is awful. I will readily admit that, but it is our first episode, and I'm kind of proud that we have made it as long as we did and still continue to have fun with this show. Anyways, enjoy. Hope you listen to the rest of our episodes and our new ones, especially. Hello, everybody. This is FGOJR, and this is the first ever edition of the Sports Goofs podcast. And we've got Damp Frijoles, as he
Hello,
likes
everyone.
to be called. Yeah, he likes to be called. I have no idea why do you have that name?
I was playing Rock Band.
Oh my
Hard to
god!
believe it's been this long, but I was playing the first edition of Rock Band way back when. A couple of friends and I decided to make a band name using the random name generator, and the one that came up that we liked was the Damp Frijoles, and it just kind of stuck.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. From way back when.
It's not as fun as you might imagine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I thought it had something to do with beans, but okay. So that's Dan Frijoles, and then we've got who we're gonna call Dougie Souls, as he was known in law school.
What's going on, everybody?
So yeah, that's Dougie Souls. It was kind of a nickname that was thought up by a friend. We're just gonna call him Ali Johns.
Yeah, Ali J.
He came up with a naming convention for our professors, and it kind of just translated to everybody else. And so he was known
It just spread like a disease. It was amazing.
like a disease to the law school.
It was a pleasant disease. It was amazing.
Okay. Yeah, so and we'll probably share this with them and tell them we shouted them out. So yeah, this is the Sports Goofs podcast. We're just three friends that met in law school, and we our common connection is sports. We love our teams down here. Doug is from South Florida, from the Miami area, and he's a big fan of the 305, the Big Four teams down here. And then we've got Senor Frijoles, who's from he's from all over the place, but I guess his home base, or his former home base, was in Central Florida. So he's kind of our influence from up there.
Yeah, I'm originally from Orlando, but Orlando doesn't have all of the big sports teams there, so I kind of go across the I-4 corridor. So Tampa Bay Lightning and Rays, Orlando Magic, kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and me, I'm from West Palm, a couple counties up north, in the in South Florida, but because of the proximity to Miami, I just followed the 4 teams down here. So that's how my fandom is. And well, as far as our college affiliation, I went to Florida State as an undergrad, so I'm the FSU rep down here. And then Dan Frijoles, continuing with the Central Florida theme, he's all UCF.
Yeah, I don't. It annoys people to some extent sometimes, but yeah, UCF fan, charge on.
And then we've got Dougie Souls, who he reps the FIU, but of course, like everybody in Miami, he didn't go to UM, but he's full on the Canes bandwagon on the U since he was a kid.
Damn right.
Since born and raised.
Because everybody growing up as a sports fan in Miami, you're not going to grow up as an FIU fan. They don't have the same brand, national brand. You're not going to see them on TV. So growing up, all I saw were the Canes. You know, all I went to were Canes games. So yes, I'm a T-shirt fan. I didn't actually go to university, but I've spent 7 years at FIU, 4 years undergrad, 3 years graduate school, and yeah, I've grown to love the athletic program there, despite its fallacies.
Hey, we finally made it in football.
No, we did. We see, but look, they had to go and get a University of Miami guy in Butch Davis to bring him back. So that's
true.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So fired up about that, and yeah, go Canes, go Panthers.
All right. So yeah, that's a little bit of background on us. So we're already 5 minutes in, and I guess we can start talking about our topics. We each have 3 topics that we want to talk about, just to kind of keep it contained, so we don't go off on too many tangents. Because I have a feeling we're going to go off on tangents, and that's kind of what we do as. And Doug, by the way, see tangent right here. You know, you can always get your master's in law at UM if you wanted to get further into debt.
True.
If you want to get further into debt.
True. I mean, isn't that the goal for everybody?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that the American dream right there?
I live it every day as my hair gets grayer and grayer. And I work 45 plus hours just to try and make ends meet. So we've got these are the topics we're covering today. Well, Dougie Souls is covering the recent trade of Jarvis Landry from the Miami Dolphins to the Cleveland Browns, and my condolences to Jarvis. We hardly knew you.
R.I.P.
Followed by Doug will also be talking about the Miami Heat playoff push, as they are in the thick of it in the Eastern Conference. Between the 3 and 8 seed are just like bumper to bumper, and who knows who will seed by the end of this. And then finally, Doug will once again have a heart attack about the Dolphins as he talks about the draft, the upcoming draft, and maybe by some miracle the Dolphins draft somebody that'll save the franchise.
Absolutely. The player is there. We just need to make the right moves.
Sure. Yeah.
Man, gotta have hope.
I am the typical pessimistic Dolphins fan. I really hate them. I love them, but I hate them so much. And then
that they hurt you so much.
Yeah. I'm just so then we've got Dan Frijoles. He's going to be covering the inspirational story of Shaquem Griffin, former UCF Golden Knights, who was making some waves at the combine, NFL combine that he just happened, and we'll see where he gets drafted as well. Followed by, he's going to be talking about the proposed, and I'm sure Rays fans have been waiting forever about a new stadium, either in Tampa or St. Pete, or I guess this one's planned for Ybor City, so he'll talk a little bit about that. And then finally, some national stuff. He's going to be talking about the Vegas Golden Knights, the hottest team, I guess the best story in sports over the past year, and definitely this year. And he's letting me know through text. I don't know why he's not saying it, but that
I
the
didn't want to
UCF.
call you out.
Oh no,
I didn't want to call you
I
out.
get it, because the Vegas Golden Knights are different from the UCF Knights. They dropped the Golden, just like the FIU Panthers dropped the Golden from their name.
Yeah, we're not the Golden Panthers anymore. Just the Panthers.
Well, it's better than what.
I'm just trying to save you from ridicule from any UCF fans that end up watching this.
Okay. Yeah, sure. You guys have like 3 good years, and you guys are chirping at us. National champions, dear Lord.
The parades.
And the parade.
Shirts.
But
I'm not going to comment on that, as I'm wearing my national champions hat right now.
Oh, okay. You see. And yeah, so that's the Vegas Golden Knights. Their inspirational stories. I'll be talking about the Florida Panthers. I don't know. They just came out of the grave. As some of you may or may not know, I write for Letterbox Cats. I have a press pass for the Florida Panthers games, and I called the Panthers all but dead back in December, and now they've completely proven me wrong. Made me eat crow or woodpecker, as Doug would attest to, because he's got a woodpecker outside his house, currently annoying him.
I was going to do this podcast from outside my house, and there's a damn woodpecker in the tree in my backyard making so much snow I decided to move it back in. Woody out there.
Yeah, so that's I'll be talking about the Panthers, and then I'll talk about the Marlins spring training. I mean, they're actually doing all right. Doing pretty well, actually, but it's spring training, so I don't want to get too excited, and I probably shouldn't get too excited, because I know they're gonna.
Yeah, it's the Marlins. It's only gonna lead to disappointment.
Yeah, and then finally, I guess to get some more national news, I just want to get these guys' opinions on the whole controversy with the NCAA, because I mean that organization is just like, I don't know, it's corrupt beyond belief. I think I agree with like LeBron on his feelings about the expanding the NBA G League to be more like the Major League Baseball or National Hockey League's minor league system, where kids can come out of high school and basically sign with a minor league team and develop. Because the one and done thing, I don't think works anymore.
No, not at all.
I don't.
It's totally unique to basketball. I mean, there's no support system in the league. You have the G League, but it's not a viable alternative right now. So,
Yeah.
What should be done to make it a viable alternative to these young athletes coming out of high school that, college is not necessarily something they want to pursue?
That, or the colleges just aren't offering enough for all the work that they do.
That as well, yeah. That's the other big point right there.
So we'll be talking about the G League. So now we're at 10-minute mark, or past it now. So we can start with the first topic. We're going to give Dougie Souls the floor here, because I think he has a lot to say about the Miami Dolphins. And as a pessimistic Dolphins fan myself, I actually eat this stuff up when somebody's really angry at the Dolphins, because, yeah. Doug, go ahead. Start your talk.
Yeah, so, classic Dolphins fashion in trading a young superstar that we've drafted and developed for nothing. I heard about the trade when it happened the day of, 5-10 minutes after it broke. And I heard that we traded Jarvis Landry to the Browns before we got word of any type of compensation the Dolphins were going to get back. So my mind starts running. I'm like, okay, cool. We probably got a good return. I'm thinking, something for the upcoming draft. Maybe we trade him and flip our 11th pick for Cleveland's 4th pick, and then we give further compensation, like a couple more second rounders, third rounders, so forth, just to move up in the draft. So I was like, okay, I can live with that. That sounds good. And then what happens later? About, I don't know, maybe 40 minutes later, 50 minutes later, I check Twitter and I see the competition. It's a 2018, what is it, 4th round pick? And
Fourth
then
round.
yes, and then a 2019 7th round pick. Is it a 7th round pick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2-3-time Pro Bowler, guy that's your most productive wide receiver, that if we would have kept him, would have broken the records in Miami for wide receiver productivity. A guy that brings heart and passion on the field every single day, every single play. And sometimes it annoys fans. It's annoyed me in the past, seeing him do his little first down sign. We're down 28 points in the fourth quarter once he gets a meaningless first down. But still, at least it showed a little bit of heart on a lifeless Dolphins offense, because that is the only way you can describe the offense for the Dolphins for the past, I don't know, decade, is lifeless, gutless. In that he was the only one bringing a spark on that offense.
Yeah.
So, we're losing a big piece of our offense. We'll be able to replace some of his productivity, but not all of it, and definitely not going to replace his, on the field passion. And to me, this trade is a perfect representation of the Tannenbaum era for the Miami Dolphins.
Oh boy.
Mike Tannenbaum was run out of New York. He was running the Jets. He destroyed that franchise. He ran into the ground. They ran him out with pitchforks pretty much. And Stephen Ross, after he purchased the Dolphins, was looking for some type of football guru.
That seems like a good idea. The guy who ran the Jets.
Rowley. Mickey Harrison hired Pat Rowley as president of basketball operations to kind of run the team and make a successful franchise, and it's worked. He have a culture now and a tradition of winning and championships to prove it. So Stephen Ross probably tried doing the same formula, except it went horrible. He hired the absolute worst person in Mike Tannenbaum to lead the Dolphins, and we see it. We see it today.
Yeah.
We see the Dolphins continuously let go of good younger players, homegrown talent, only to overpay for free agents. Su's great. I love Su, but his contract handcuffs us so much.
Your anger, I was typing Mike Tannenbaum's name here on Google, and the second result is Mike Tannenbaum is an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. It's a universal truth at this point. The fact that he still has a job is amazing. I'm just counting down the days until we start seeing Fire Mike Tannenbaum banners flying over Hard Rock Stadium, because it's going to happen. For example, Olivier Vernon, a guy,
I remember
that we let go, that we refused to pay.
That was, 3 seasons ago now?
Yeah. We could have locked him up early, but we kicked the can down the road. He had a great season for us, and then he wanted a lot of money after one great season. And the Dolphins refused to pay that money. So they let him go. He signed with the Giants, made the Pro Bowl. He's balling out for the Giants. Jarvis Landry, same thing. We could have locked him up for cheap years ago, but we kicked the can down the road. Has a good season. All of a sudden wants more money than what we could have signed him for if we would have been proactive. Yeah. And too much money, and the Dolphins end up having to trade him. Now, I don't think he's a $15, $16 million a year receiver.
Right.
Because he's a slot receiver. He's not a number one receiver.
No, he's not. He's his friend OBJ.
Right. But we could have signed him for cheaper than that if we would have been proactive and had vision in terms of where this franchise is going and what pieces are vital to our success. And I believe Jarvis Landry would have been one of those pivotal pieces if we had acted back then. I didn't agree with paying him that much money. I just wish we would have gotten at least better compensation, but that's putting a little too much faith in Mike Tannenbaum.
If you look at the background, I just put Mike Tannenbaum's face up there, just him looking extremely confused, like, okay, so I have to sign the good players, right?
Yeah, just a guy. Mike Tannenbaum is basically playing a game of Madden. Just seeing who's the highest rated player at that time, not paying attention to the cap, and giving him the best possible contract to get him to play for the Dolphins. Yeah. That is Mike Tannenbaum in a nutshell. He is the stereotypical Madden GM. No offense to all the Madden GMs out there, but that is Mike Tannenbaum. And the Dolphins are going to be the Dolphins, meaning they're going to be mediocre as long as Tannenbaum is leading this team and making those decisions that hampers the team's success.
The thing I found interesting, and I don't know much about this trade. I mean, I'll be honest, I had never even heard of Jarvis Landry until all this happened.
Juice.
But apparently the Dolphins franchise tagged him, and then they decided to trade him. That makes absolutely no sense.
I mean, they kind of had to, because I think for a team to sign Jarvis Landry, the compensation will have been stupid, because when someone signs a restricted free agent, they have to give up draft picks, and I can't remember what it was for Jarvis Landry, but it was stupid high. So no team was going to sign him as a restricted free agent. So in a way, they kind of had to, I guess, give him the franchise tag. And I honestly thought that we were going to keep him for this year. He was going to play out his franchise tag and leave, because I didn't think anybody was going to actually trade for him. So Tannenbaum, I guess, deserves a little bit credit in finding a trade partner that is willing to take a wide receiver at a franchise tag, and there's no guarantee of a long-term deal. He still needs to negotiate that long-term contract with Cleveland. So who knows? Maybe he has a terrible time in Cleveland. That wouldn't be anything unforeseen, given the history of the Browns in Cleveland. And
well, no,
he walks away.
Okay, Doug. As a pessimistic Dolphins fan, watch what's going to happen. The Cleveland Browns are going to. Jarvis Landry is going to be the spark. He's going to be the savior of the franchise. And the Dolphins will become the Cleveland Browns.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Cleveland is they traded for Tyrod Taylor. They got Jarvis Landry. They got Josh Gordon, Corey Coleman, Duke Johnson. They're probably going to take Saquon Barkley, number 1 in the draft, who's one of the best running back prospects in decades. So they're going to have the talent. It's just whether they're going to have, the right leadership to get the results on the field.
Yeah. And for Andrew, I've got in the background, I've got some Jarvis Landry highlights as Doug sheds a single tear as he watches it.
A single lonesome tear.
Yeah, of his highlights, and he made a lot of great plays. I mean, he brought me to my feet a lot of times, but.
Oh yeah, I was someone said the other day that his yards after the catch is not that big, and it's true. He doesn't have a lot of yak, because most of the throws to him are probably 5-yard dump offs, like emergency options, because we have no offense as the Dolphins, so all we can do is 5-yard dump offs. But looking at the numbers doesn't tell the whole story. If you look at his yards after the catch, you're like, oh wow, he didn't really make a lot of plays. He was just, anybody could catch, however many footballs were thrown his way. But that's what happens when you rely too much on numbers and you don't watch the games. I watch the games, and there are so many moments where he fought for that first down and extended drives, and those moments don't show up on the numbers on the stat sheet. So, he brought a lot of toughness to this team.
Yeah. Yes, I'm already I'm just gonna shut this off as I can't take it anymore.
You can't take it anymore.
Yeah,
we're at your heartstrings.
Yeah, we're gonna close that. So, thank you, Jarvis, for everything that you did in Miami.
Thank you for your time, Jarvis.
And
we appreciate, like DJ Khaled, we appreciate you.
And you know what? LeBron's gonna leave Cleveland, and you'll be the hero of Cleveland after this. So don't worry.
Exactly, you'll be the new king. You're the prince of Cleveland right now.
Yeah,
just waiting for your time.
Okay, so Doug, I was actually pretty contained, Doug. I'm surprised you didn't completely blow your top.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta keep cool. I mean, that's our job anyways, to keep cool during those emotional moments. So, you gotta get your point across. But Mike Tannenbaum, you're an idiot.
All right, that's a good way to cap that topic off. So now, let's see, Dan Friola, do you want to go with your first topic, Shaquem Griffin? You want to talk about him?
Sure. So Shaquem Griffin, I've had the honor and privilege to get to know him over the few years. He has a twin brother, Shaquille, who's currently a cornerback for the now absolutely completed Legion of Boom up in Seattle. I've had the pleasure to know both of them since their freshman year back in 2013. Shaquem was born with a disability called amniotic band syndrome, which basically a part of the amniotic sac while he was in the womb wrapped around his hand and prevented it from developing. so at age 4, it became so painful that he had it amputated. Since then, he's spoken about it, that a lot of people, would try to not get into playing games. They would, sit him out of games because he didn't have a hand. Now he's going into the draft as a two-time American Athletic Conference first team roster player, the 2016 Conference Defensive Player of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Game in the 2018 Peach Bowl, and his combine stats were incredible. He ran a 4.38 in the 40-yard dash, in spite of the fact
incredible.
6'1" and 227 pounds. He did 20, was it bar presses?
Yep. I've got the bench presses, I guess. But I've got the highlights going right now of his combine right now in the background.
20 bar presses. You'll see it.
Reps on the bench press.
20 reps on the bench press of 225 pounds. So he basically benched himself 20 times. And I'm not sure if it'll show it, but he was using a prosthetic attachment to his arm to help him hold on to the bar. So, at least trying to, setting aside the...
There's his 4.38. You guys can see it there.
Yeah, this is him. Let's see. I think this is his simulcam with his twin Shaquille.
Okay.
Yeah, they ran the same time.
Nice.
Shaquem maybe a tiny bit slower, but
not by much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 0.2 of a second.
Just to give you an idea of how fast that is, Shaquille is, I think, 30-something pounds lighter than Shaquem at this time.
Okay.
They used to be literally identical. Same height, same weight, same everything. But over the last 2 years, Scott Frost and his coaching staff, they decided to switch Shaquem into a linebacker role as opposed to being a defensive back like his brother.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, they had him grow a bit more, but he still has not lost any of that speed.
Yeah,
it's amazing just seeing what he can do, especially considering, like you described the condition he has, and for him to be able to still do what he does, it's an inspiration.
Absolutely. Although I will say that just speaking with him and stuff, he does not like does not like the term disability. He actually called out USF's head coach Charlie Strong about that. He doesn't view this so much as a disability. He thinks of it more as that's just him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also does recognize that in being who he is, he's in a position to be an inspiration to others. And
definitely,
many times he'll, and by the way, the clips showing right now are him tearing it up against FIU. That was a fun game to watch.
Fun for you, not for me.
Exactly. That was actually the game that got the previous coach fired, but I digress.
Oh, Ron Turner?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will thank you guys for that. That's not scheduled for today, but Ron
opened
Turner
it up for Butch.
Destroyed the program so bad. He was such a bad hire. It's like Pete Garcia. What are you thinking? Firing Mario Cristobal, the guy who gets you to 2 bowl games. You win 1 bowl game from being an irrelevant team to that status and then going for Ron Turner. Oh man, sorry, I had to hijack it.
Yeah.
No,
That hearing, just thinking about Ron Turner triggers me as a FIU alum and as a Panthers fan.
Yeah.
My apologies.
And for a lot of people who don't know, I mean, FIU's program is really young. I think it started in 2002.
Very
right?
young. Yeah,
2002.
Early 2000s. 2002 is probably right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could probably spend a whole day on that image, that shot right there. He gets interceptions too. Like
Which is amazing.
it's like it doesn't matter to him.
He does everything.
Yeah, he plays football is what he does. He doesn't.
You watch a game with UCF. I watched a couple of UCF games this past season, and he always stands out on defense because he's just flying to the ball. Every single play, he's there. He's in the mix. He's got great instincts and he's got a great motor.
Exactly, and that's. I'll wrap it up here since I could probably talk for hours about Shaquem.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll end it on. In spite of the fact that he has just one hand, he is going to be just an awesome player in the league.
Absolutely.
I really hope that he gets to play with Seattle, in spite of even though I'm a Jags fan, but it would be cool to see him and his brother play together again, as they have their entire careers.
For sure.
And who's getting arrested?
That was me for harassing the woodpecker.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, I told you guys, before we went on the air, it was going to happen, and here we
go. Are we getting swatted? Are we getting swatted?
Yeah, they're joining the tear gas now.
Dude, man, I can't believe people do that. That's insane swatting. They do it to little kids, like 10-year-old kids, who are like playing Minecraft on YouTube. Or Twitch.
Honestly, it's not right.
It needs, whatever the penalty is, they need to like triple it because that is so dangerous, and people need to understand just how dangerous.
A guy has already died for it.
No, yeah, guy got opened his door and he got shot. Had no idea what was going on, and he got shot for it. Something that he wasn't even involved in, an innocent bystander. So
yeah,
it's a terrible, terrible thing. Yeah.
So, all right. So that was, thank you, Frijoles, for the whole synopsis on Shaquem Griffin. You basically told him from birth to now about his.
Yeah, it's like I said, I could talk for hours about him because I followed him from day one pretty much when we were recruiting him, and yeah, he's just an awesome guy. As awesome as he is on the field, he's an even better person. So
nice.
I'm be lucky that I was able to contain it to only a few minutes.
Okay, so that was Shaquem Griffin, and so now we're gonna go to my first topic. It's a topic that's near and dear to my heart, as these guys have known from my absolutely rabid following of the Panthers while we were in law school. Look
at the guy's logo on the screen right now.
Yeah, my own personal logo is basically a panther. I'm not a cat guy. I've never owned a cat. Okay, but my community college were the Panthers, and I went to law school. FIU's the Panthers, and my favorite hockey team's the Panthers. So I guess it's my spirit animal in a sense. So that's the Panther. So I just want to start out the Florida Panthers. The last 3 seasons ago, the 2015-16 season, they were awesome, like absolutely awesome. Like they won their Atlantic Division. They were on top of the world. Trocheck got tripped during the playoffs, and it screwed us over against the New York Islanders. But you know what? All right, fine. You know what? The refs screwed us that season. We'll come back. We'll come back stronger the next season. We'll go for the cup. We'll add a couple pieces, and we're good to go. Well, thanks to analytics, the computers, whatever you call it, and the machines, Terminators, decided to gut the Panthers in some sense, trading away a lot of their non-analytically friendly players. And I get why they traded them. I understood why, but maybe the Panthers went a little overboard with the whole analytics thing, because there's a thing that you can't measure, and that's the intangibles, chemistry, just bringing heart and soul to your team. Just like what Doug was saying to Jarvis Landry, it's hard to quantify that, or even with Shaquem Griffin, it's hard to quantify that sort of that spirit where you kind of overcome other odds, or you stick up for your teammates, or you just are the face of the franchise, or you're just a good person that the fans can connect with. So the Panthers got rid of a lot of old Panthers, and they fired their coach the next season, like 2 months in, and then the whole thing fell apart completely. The analytics didn't work, and the team missed the playoffs. I think they were 1 point under 500, and things looked very dire. So Dale Talon, the guy who kind of constructed that 2015-16 team out of draft picks and signings and all that, he took back the reins after the Panthers admitted they made a mistake. He basically got rid of anybody he could get rid of that was a friend with the computers, like Jonathan Marchessault and Riley Smith. And unfortunately, and this will be roll off into Dan Friolis's third topic, the Vegas Golden Knights took Marchessault and Smith and turned them into gold. But I digress with that. We'll talk about that later. But the Panthers this season, they were starting off, they were kind of so-so, but then things started getting bad. They had a lot of long losing streaks of 3, 4, 5 games. And I'm one of those fans, maybe because of my affinity with the Dolphins and the Marlins. I'm like Tank City as soon as I can. Like, if we can tank, I'm like, you know what? Let's just tank. Let's just take this thing and just run it down into Biscayne Bay. You know, right? Let's just have it sink, make it into a coral reef, and just tank the crap out of it. And I was.
You were about to be the tank commander.
Oh yeah. Oh, seriously, I was leading the brigade, but the Panthers kind of started finding their footing after maybe New Year's. They were starting to find their footing. They were rolling off some wins. They had a nice long winning streak during the holidays, but it wasn't until the All-Star break where things, for some reason, and I have no idea how, things just clicked. Everything clicked. Their power play started clicking. Alexander Barkov has now become one of the top 10, 15 players in the league. He is that good. He should be getting MVP conversation, MVP votes, Hart Trophy votes this season because of how much he's. I think he finally realizes how good he is, and that's what's going on with him leading that stuff. Vincent Trocheck is the heart and soul of the team, and honestly, I'm so glad that Dale Talon signed all these young core guys because it looks really good for the future right now. The Panthers have rolled off 8 straight home victories. They've got a 9-game point streak, and they were able to claw themselves out of this hole. They were able to briefly get a playoff spot for a few hours before the Jackets won, the Columbus Blue Jackets. But they are now in the thick of the wild card race, and they could take either the first or the second wild card by the end of the season, which is crazy that it's actually happening.
Nobody would have thought this, in December.
No, I had no idea, and I covered some of the games in December, like towards the end. I was like, okay, they're starting to look a little better. Maybe they can finish 500. That was all I wanted. Like, maybe they could finish 500. It'll be good. Then that'll be enough momentum to try and push for the playoffs the next season. But no. They are doing it this season. And last night they had another victory, this time against New York Rangers. And I'm loving this homestand because they're facing all of the most annoying franchises in the NHL, and they're beating them at this point. They beat the New York Rangers. They beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. They beat the Montreal Canadiens. And they beat the Philadelphia Flyers. And they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. So these are all some of the most annoying fan bases in all of North American sports. And the Panthers are just rattling off victory after victory and making these people go home very sad because
nothing sweeter than that.
Yeah, nothing sweeter than that. And
South Florida loves the tears of other cities.
Oh yeah, no, it's and I'm just so happy. I'm elated. Like I've readily admitted since this streak has happened that the Panthers have made me eat crow or woodpecker, whatever you call it.
It must be a South Florida thing because as you guys know, last year the Heat in the first half of the NBA season were the worst team. Like lottery pick, top 3 pick bad. Like I remember in the first half of last season, I was looking up scouting reports on Lonzo Ball and Markelle Fultz. I was watching as many Kentucky games as I could last year. I knew so much about Kentucky basketball last year just because I watched every single Kentucky Wildcats college basketball game on TV just to see Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox and Bam Adebayo. The latter of which we did eventually draft.
Yeah,
but,
and Bam turned out really well.
Robin?
Bam turned out really well.
Oh yeah, he is tough. He's only going to get better. The sky's the limit for that guy.
Yeah.
But so in the first half of the season, that's pretty much what I came to grips with and I had accepted. And then in the second half of the season, the NBA season last year, the Heat were a completely different basketball team.
Yeah.
They were the best basketball team in the second half of the NBA last year. They beat Cleveland I don't know how many times when Cleveland was actually good, unlike this year where they're not that good.
And like
they beat the Warriors.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
beat all the best teams last year in the second half. And unfortunately, we came up just short in the end. We just barely missed the playoffs. So hopefully the Panthers don't have the same fate, but it's astonishing what these two teams have accomplished over the past couple of years, and it's great to see the Panthers continue that trend.
And it's a South Florida thing. Like the Dolphins actually made the playoffs when we were all writing them off as, okay, let's think about the draft, let's tank, and they made the playoffs. The Heat were just short, I think a tiebreaker short of making the playoffs last season after just rising from the dead, and the Panthers are doing it this season. So maybe next season it'll be the Marlins.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, you know what that means for the Marlins this season?
Yeah.
That means World Series.
The Marlins make the playoffs and they win the World Series. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the Marlins thing. They make the wild card. They don't win the division. They make the wild card, and then they win the World Series. We're 2 for 2, batting 100 on that, so we're good.
Yeah,
100%.
And so I've got the highlights being played right now from last night's game against the New York Rangers. I wrote up the recap on letterboxcats.com. You can see the link on the page, and it's in the description as well. And the game was great. I mean, all of these games, the Panthers, they've either been spanking teams or they've been gutting the games out and finding a way to get that extra goal to put these teams away.
Those are the types of wins that push you over that edge and get you to the playoffs.
And
those wins, those gritty wins. This
game was this was a trap game because the New York Rangers are like 10 points out of a playoff spot. There's only 13 games left to play for them, so they're kind of going to be rolling into getting ready for the off season. But the Panthers could have come out flat. They could have come out or just let the New York Rangers, because they have a ton of fans that went to the game last night. They could have let them come in and take a victory at home, but the game was like, you're looking at the highlights right now, just exciting. Luongo, I think he kept this game from the New York Rangers from winning. Like right here, well, that one, just the deflection was just so close. But finally, the shootout came at the end of the night. Matt Zuccarello here, you're going to see he's going to put a little zigzag on Luongo and fool him right here, it was a nice move. Okay, I got to give it to Zook. That was, he just fooled him right there. He broke his ankles. But here's Alexander Barkov, the omnipotent, the god of the Florida Panthers at this point. Okay, we should be erecting shrines to this guy. Okay, this guy's gonna have a statue outside the BB&T Center when it's all said and done. And then here's Luongo.
And it's amazing because Barkov is still so young.
Oh no, he is. Let me see. He's Barkov. He is
21, maybe.
He's 22 years old.
22.
Right now. Okay, and the Panthers signed him to a long-term deal, so we're gonna get him in his this isn't his prime. That's how crazy it's gonna be.
It's just the beginning of what he will become in this league and what he will become for the Panthers.
Yeah,
it's
and
exciting as a Panthers fan.
And there's Vincent Trocheck with the walk-off right there. They set a new.
I don't know. Like in hockey, do they flip the hockey stick like in baseball? You flip the bat after a walk-off, or that's just a baseball thing?
You know, in baseball they kind of they in baseball they'll the pitcher will throw at your head if you the next time. But in hockey they'll grab you and they'll beat the crap out of you.
Okay.
So
in hockey they actually back it up.
Yeah, so I mean, just look at the ages of these Panthers players. Vincent Trocheck is 24 years old. Okay, and we've got him going into his prime. Okay.
Yeah.
Barkov is 22. Jonathan Huberdeau is 24, and we got him going to his prime as well. All of these guys are going to be if we.
Glad he's.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if he's having the year we expected him to have this year in terms of development, but he's another promising young player.
He's only 22, and he's a defenseman. Defensemen take a little longer to develop their skills in hockey, but I think he's finally finding his identity, and I think he's doing well. A lot of Panthers fans kind of jump on him because he was a number 1 draft pick. But he won the Rookie of the Year already. He's already made 2 All-Star teams. I'm going to ease off on him. He's going to be good.
Yeah,
he's real good.
Everybody has, a slump year.
So yeah, that's I could, just like Andrew can talk forever about Shaquem Griffin, I can talk forever about the Panthers. So I'm going to cut myself off here. They're doing great, and I'm really happy about it. And so we're going to move on to Doug's next topic, which is the other playoff race going on in South Florida, and that's the resurgent Miami Heat, since our omnipotent God Dwayne Wade came back.
The return of Father Prime.
Yes. So they played last night, right? Yeah,
played last night, and they absolutely demolished the Wizards, which is huge because the Wizards
129-102.
Yeah, it wasn't close the entire game, and it's huge because the Wizards are one of the teams in that 3 to 8 seed range.
Yeah, they're leading the Southeast Division.
Exactly. So Washington, we're coming for that division title. Enjoy your lead while it lasts because it's not going to last very long. But no, it was amazing. The Heat were just playing so good. They were shooting incredibly well yesterday, from the 3-point line. Just in general, they were shooting amazing. They were playing amped up, man. It was a little scary yesterday. Wade went to the locker room, and then Winslow had to go to the locker room right at the end of the game. Wade, I think, has a mildly pulled hamstring, so he's not going to play against Portland in the next game against Portland. But hopefully he's not out too long. The issue with hamstring injuries is that they're nagging injuries. Yeah. Sometimes they just never really feel right. They never really go away. So hopefully it's not that. Hopefully,
luckily,
a couple of days rest.
Luckily, he's with the Miami Heat. Who have one of the best medical staff,
training staffs in the NBA and medical staffs in the NBA. So he's in good hands. And with Winslow, I think Coach Spoelstra said that he bumped knees yesterday, so it looks like he's fine as well. But those are moments as a Heat fan where you hold your breath and you realize how fragile this playoff run is. Like, we're playing great now, but as soon as we lose players, then you start to get a little worried. And Whiteside didn't play yesterday either. He had some type of hip injury. So hopefully everybody just keeps it together, stays healthy, and if they do, I think we're gonna go 5 or above in terms of our seeding in the playoffs because we're playing amazing right now. Bringing Dwayne Wade back was critical to this resurgence. The Heat in the fourth quarter, that's where we were gassed, we were losing our games. We had nobody that we can rely on. We didn't have the veteran leadership. We didn't have the clutch gene in the fourth quarter. And bringing Dwayne Wade back has brought that. He's brought back the veteran leadership to the locker room. He's brought back that clutch gene. He's a guy when there's 22 seconds left on the clock and you're down, you want the ball in his hands. He's going to make something happen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
even if he misses it that game, you're going to give a same situation in the next game. You're going to give the ball back to him. He's a guy that you keep going to. We didn't have that up until Dwayne Wade returned. He's been playing great. I've got the stats right here for his past, I don't know, five or six games, and he's honestly playing better than I expected. I was expecting maybe like 8 points, 9 points a game.
Yeah.
But he's been playing great. February 27th against Philly, 27 points. Lakers, 25 points. Detroit, Phoenix, 11 and 12 points. Then Washington, not last night, but a couple of nights ago, 22 points.
Mm-hmm.
Philly again, 16 points. Yesterday he had 8 points, but he had that injury where he had to leave the game early. So he's producing in a big way that we needed. Dion Waiters was supposed to be our fourth quarter clutch gene guy, but he went down early in the season, and that's what we were missing. So
yeah,
it's great to have Wade back. It's almost like old times again. It's every Heat fan. This is it's a dream.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I haven't seen these many Heat jerseys around Miami since Wade came back. It was a ghost town.
Everyone brought him out of the storage closets and dusted off the dust. It's Wade County again.
Yeah.
Wade County again.
And the Miami Vice uniforms that they've been wearing since they debuted it. I think they became more popular than what they expected. I mean, I hadn't bought one because I was holding off on buying one because I have like a rule for buying sports jerseys with like players' names on it. I either buy them blank, or if I get a player, that player has to be like a Hall of Famer, or had his number retired, or won a championship with the team, or it's just like one of the team's all-time greats. So for the Heat, the only person that qualified before Wade was traded back was Udonis Haslem. And I love UD, but I don't think many people have a jersey of his. But I was gonna buy a Udonis Vice jersey when I could. But then Dwayne Wade got traded there, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta buy myself that. I haven't bought it yet, but they are on back order until like June. That's crazy. Wow. It's worse than an iPhone.
That is. Yeah, no, that's crazy. And their sales have shot up. I don't know what the percentage is.
It was like
sales shot up.
It was like, I don't know, like 1,000% or something like that.
Yeah, it was insane. I'm sending a picture now to the little group chat, but basically it's like 2006 all over again, except we got really fly jerseys this time. Way just sinking game winners. It's amazing. It's a good time to be a Heat fan.
Yeah, I'm gonna post that right now, what you just sent me, so people can see the legend of Dwayne Wade once more.
Exactly.
There it is.
That picture right there is exactly what Dwayne Wade brings. Taking the tough shot in the fourth quarter to win a huge game. Beating the 76ers was huge because, they're one of the other teams we're chasing. And then we beat the Wizards, so it's a good run we're having right now. And none of this is possible if we don't get Wade back.
And I just want to add something in there really quick. To people who think that we're just kind of making this up and, we're just doing this for show. I'm not sure if anyone thinks that. But these are legitimately discussions that we've had in the past. Like, the three of us went to a Panthers hockey game about a month ago. Actually, it was the day of Wade's first game back. And this was pretty much all we were talking about was this, what kind of jerseys FJ OJR would get. So this is basically we're taking our internal discussions between us out onto the internet.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, this is just that was kind of the impetus for making this. I just want to do this for fun. I just wanted to have an outlet to do this. I've always wanted to do a podcast like this for a while, and so I'm glad I got a couple of my friends to join me and not have me ramble on like a madman like I usually do on my gaming live streams. So yeah, these are the highlights from the Heat game. This is when the Heat are just like busting the game open against the Wizards. But yeah, they absolutely destroyed them last night, which is great.
Yeah.
It's great to see because the Heat have been they've had games where they've been on and off. They've lost to like the Brooklyn Nets of all teams a few times already, and like blown out completely by them. But now that Dwayne Wade's here, I think the momentum is shifting, and they're gonna be all right. I think they're gonna be all right. I think they won't fall out of the 8th seed at the very least because the Pistons are terrible and the Hornets are terrible.
So we've got the Pistons chasing us. Let me just pull up the playoff race real quick to see who we're contending with.
They're not even close though. They're 5.5 games behind.
Yeah, and there's not many games left.
And are they in the 9th seed right now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we, at the very least, then we've locked up the 8th seed, but I do think we do move up a few spots before the regular season ends. We're just playing too good right now. And one more thing I want to mention is the emergence of our young players. You know, the future generation, and Josh Richardson and Justice Winslow.
And
Richardson, I think we could expect because we've seen this type of productivity in spurts from Richardson before in previous seasons. He's a guy that just, he brings the energy, and he's able to do everything. He's able to shoot the ball. He's able to take it to the rim. He's able to make the passes. Plays great lockdown defense. My only knock on Richardson is the mental mistakes for turnovers or inopportune fouls, bad timing on fouls, which he still has to work on. But he's showing tremendous growth, and I'm even more impressed with Justice Winslow because to come back from injury, to come back when everyone says you're not a shooter, that he's basically going to be the next Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, a guy that plays great defense but cannot shoot the ball. For him to come back from injury and prove everybody wrong, he is shooting so good right now. He is shooting so efficiently from everywhere, but especially the three-point line, that I don't think anyone could have foreseen this, and it's really exciting to see how much more he can develop now. Now that he's shown that he has a shot, he's another guy where I think the sky's the limit. I'm not going to go out there and say he's going to be the next Kawhi Leonard like you have some Heat fans, have said in the past, but I do think he's going to be a very good player in this league for many years to come.
Okay. So and of course,
again, I could talk about the Heat forever, but we have a couple of more things we need to cover.
Yeah,
we can talk about each of these topics forever.
Yeah, we're at the 1 hour mark almost. So, and I knew this is going to be long. So like the sports talk radio shows, those guys have like 4 hours that they're talking about this stuff. So this one's going to be not 4 hours, obviously, but we're almost halfway through our topics. So let's and Doug, by the way, imagine if we got Cleveland in the first round.
If what?
We got Cleveland in the first round.
Oh man, dude, I want Cleveland. Give me the Cavs. We want Cleveland because I think we can beat Cleveland.
Nice.
Some people may think I'm crazy, but that's that type of irrational confidence of a Heat fan that it gives fuel to the fire right there. I want Cleveland. It'll just be so sweet to play the Cavs and beat LeBron. Being a team of an old 36-year-old superstar in Dwayne Wade, and then I love Goran Dragic, but he's not an all-star player. I love that he made it. It was a great gesture by LeBron to pick Dragic to replace, I think, Kevin Love, who got injured. But he didn't really have the numbers for it. So really, it's Dwayne Wade, Goran Dragic, Whiteside, and then a bunch of potential. It's not. We're not the Houston Rockets. We're not the Golden State Warriors. We're not the Cavs when they were good. When they actually had Kyrie and Kevin Love. So I want Cleveland, man. We got the grit, I think, to tough out a series against them and take the upset.
Okay. All right. So that's the Miami Heat talk. All right. So now we're gonna move up to Central Florida once more for Dan Friolas' take on the
We're going all over the state of Florida today. We might as well be the Brightline train.
Yeah. So we're gonna go up to Tampa or St. Petersburg, whatever you want to call it. I'll talk about the Rays' proposed new stadium. Once more, I hope it's not like with the David Beckham thing where he has a stadium, he doesn't have a stadium down here in Miami. Just build the freaking thing or move. I don't know. Have a soccer team or not have it at all. So, all right, Andrew, you got the floor.
Right. Well, this one is going to be a pretty quick topic because, like you said, it's just all proposed and stuff. But basically, the Tampa Bay Rays, they play in a warehouse right now that is Tropicana Field. I've been there many times, and I used to think it was fantastic because that had been the only MLB field I had been to. But then I went to Turner Field. May it kind of sort of rest in peace.
And they're converting it to a football stadium now.
Already done.
Nice.
The Georgia State Panthers, again with the Panthers.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody loves being a Panther, man. What can you say?
And Black Panther is destroying box office records right now.
So, yeah, after that I realized that, no offense to Tropicana Field, considering that it was designed for hockey, but it is not a good baseball venue.
Nope.
So the Rays have kind of put specifically St. Petersburg, because that's where the field is right now, into kind of in a pickle. It's either give us the money to build the stadium or we're going to move. So there have been pitches coming in from St. Petersburg and other areas in the Tampa Bay area. But they've determined, the Rays have, that their preferred site is going to be somewhere in something called Ybor City, which is...
Isn't that like a trendy part of town? I haven't been, but I've heard about it.
It is.
Oh, we've been to Tampa. We've been to Tampa, Dougie.
Yeah, but we were so depressed after our last day of taking the bar exam that we decided just to call it a day and not explore. I just wanted to get out of Tampa. No offense to Tampa people, but the bar exam tainted my view of Tampa. But I'm sure it's a police city.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's all right.
I know it more for the traffic, to be honest.
Oh boy.
But Ybor City, it's kind of like the cigar capital of the United States. A lot of Cuban immigrants moved there in the early 1900s, and cigar factories popped up. So that's where it kind of got its trendiness, if you will. But basically, more or less, the Rays are going to try and move over there, which I think is stupid because they have a perfectly good site right in St. Petersburg. I'll see if I can pull up the site map. But
yeah, I've got the you can send it over. I can show it, but I've got I guess a local news story about the Rays' proposed move to Ybor City.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up.
So it could cost $700 million to build. Well, hopefully you guys don't get screwed over like we did. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that actually costs more than the Marlins stadium only costs $550. It's just with the interest and stuff.
Yeah, we took terrible bonds for the stadium, and it's going to be like 2 billion or more at the end of the day.
It was not a good deal.
No, not at all. So I hope, for your sake, the Rays or the city of Tampa is smarter and don't bend over like the city of Miami did.
I have a feeling they'll do it right.
That they'll do it right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I feel like the Marlins served as the example. You know, when you go to seminars and they say, "This is Joe. This is what Joe has become. He was in your shoes, but he followed all the bad influences.
Yeah.
Don't be like Joe." And
Exactly.
they show that picture of Joe. That's the Marlins and their stadium. Don't be like the Marlins and the new stadium. Don't repeat Miami's mistake. Don't be Miami.
Uh,
So I'm sending over right now a picture of the proposed location,
okay.
not the proposed stadium, because that's all kind of still up in the air. But it strikes me as an odd location because it is literally, and I mean literally, right next to the highway.
Well, I guess they would want it
good
to be
for transportation.
exactly. All right, let me see this. Okay.
It strikes me as weird because
Is there any type of public transportation in the area?
maybe I don't.
I know. There's like some type of streetcar that Tampa has that I think goes to that area. I don't know if it stops by the stadium, but that would be useful.
Yeah, there's the proposal for what it would look like.
I mean, it's not too dissimilar. Turner Field was right next to I-75 in Atlanta.
That's true.
Yeah. I've driven through Atlanta many times and always past Turner Field. So I mean, it's good for transportation purposes. Maybe they could do something like BB&T Center has done in the city of Sunrise for the Florida Panthers, where you're on the Sawgrass Expressway and the exit literally takes you right to the stadium.
I would hope so because it strikes me as weird. You're watching a video game and then meanwhile you hear beep beep and traffic going by. It kind of ruins the ambiance.
Yeah, but I mean they're gonna have the outfield facing away from the highway. It looks like so you're not. That's not going to be the view.
And I'm sure the game music and all that stuff you probably won't be hearing.
Yeah, I mean there's people that live next to highways. They have houses right next to highways. So baseball stadium, it's going to be so loud anyway between the music and the fans in the game that I don't think it would be an issue.
What fans?
Well, if they show up. That's a big if.
Yeah, I feel like I can poke fun at the Rays because they're my team, but oh goodness. But yeah, I'm sure I'll update this more.
Is that just like a generic placeholder stadium, or is that the actual design of the stadium?
It's just a generic placeholder.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's like tons of designs.
That's a massive center field.
Yeah, I think that's actually. I'm 90% sure that's Comerica Park up in Detroit.
Okay.
Just based on how that outfield looks.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a good location. What's the deal with the stadium? Is it going to come down to voter referendum? Who's going to be financing it? They seem like they have picked a location, but what are, I don't know anything about the situation up there.
It's basically just comes down to the city. The city has already shown support for this because they've made public pitches to the Rays to get the stadium.
Right.
And pretty much, I think it's just going to be negotiating. How much will the city pay? How much will everyone else pay? I think it's really early on though. The only definite thing that's come out of it is that the Rays want to go to Ybor City.
Right.
Let me post something really quick to show you how in on this they are.
I know a couple of years ago they had some really, really nice plans that I believe fell through, but right by the water, right by the bay.
Yeah, I was really sad when that fell through.
The stadium, I know it was just a proposal, but the stadium design was
gorgeous. That's actually in the thumbnail for the background right there where it says Race Stadium. That last proposal is what I have there on the background.
Yeah, it absolutely a gorgeous idea. It's a shame that it fell through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the retractable roof of it was unique because it wasn't like the typical it goes over the whole thing. It was a sail design. So it would start out as like a straight line, and then it would unfold its way around.
Nice.
Yeah, there it is, Raybor City.
It was a beautiful design. So I'm sure whatever they do in Ybor City will be just as impressive.
Yeah.
And I know that looks weird, but Ybor City is YBOR, so it actually does make sense.
Yeah, that was the old design. That would have been awesome.
Wow, that is amazing. That is an amazing looking stadium right there.
Yeah,
well, that's the old one. That's the old one. But
Right. The one that the previous proposal by the Bay.
I really wish they could have done that, but oh well.
Yeah. Hey, you got, but at least it's good news. You guys are working on looks like a good potential situation here for the future of the Rays, because I know the stadium has always been a contention point over the years. Is that the trop is too old, no one wants to go there, blah blah blah. So hopefully this is a sign of a turnaround for the Rays franchise. It didn't work for the Marlins, but hopefully it works for the Rays.
I hope so.
Okay. So yeah, that's I'm hoping. I always joke like, oh, they're gonna move the team to Montreal and they'll be the new Expos. But I don't really wish that upon Tampa. Okay, just because they have the Tampa Convention Center is a horrible place. It doesn't mean that they should lose their baseball team.
And for those that don't know, the Tampa Convention Center is where the bar exam is administered. So
yeah,
they don't have very kind memories of the place.
It's a place where
the Convention Center is where thousands of souls go every year to die.
Exactly, I was about to say that. Okay, so that's the Rays. Thank you, Dan Frijoles, for the Rays synopsis of their stadium situation. So hopefully, I've passed by Ybor City. It looks like a nice place. It'd probably be a sweet spot for the ballpark too. Okay, so I guess we're gonna move to my second topic, which is the dumpster fire that we all know and love as the Miami Marlins. This is a different type of dumpster fire compared to the Dolphins. Whereas the Dolphins have, you got to give credit to the Dolphins. They at least try. They're just terrible, but they at least try. They don't want to be terrible, but they just are. The Marlins, for the last, finally, Jeffrey Loria is gone, and we thought that we would have this brand new ownership would give us some sort of hope, but that wasn't necessarily the case, as we lost essentially our entire outfield and our second baseman, who was also having a fantastic season. We lost the National League MVP, the crown jewel of our franchise, Giancarlo Stanton, to the New York Yankees of all teams, which is even better.
The evil empire, only gets stronger.
Which kind of
went to the dark side.
Brought up suspicions because our was it 4% owner, Derek Jeter, who is running the franchise now, was obviously the New York Yankees legend. I was pissed off at him.
Do you realize that he's paying himself money yearly to recoup the investment he put in to purchase the Marlins franchise?
Oh yeah. That's all part of.
How is that not sketchy right there?
All part of
the red flags.
All part of the Project Wolverine, as it was called. Yeah. The Marlins' plan to basically gut the payroll, and it was basically a hard reset of the franchise. This team is essentially an expansion franchise once more, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I guess you can give some hope. Like, okay, we'll be good 5 years down the line, hopefully. But but once again, no guarantees because we have no idea if Derek Jeter has any idea what he's doing. Because if he's anything like Michael Jordan, there's not going to be much going on. Or Wayne Gretzky, both great players but failed executives.
They had to trade these players because they don't have money to run the team. So how does that give us confidence that they're going to have the money in the future to build a contender, to build a winning team? I mean, they had to go into a lot of debt to purchase the team. Jeter tried purchasing this team for months, and investors kept dropping out. They didn't have enough money, and it was just he originally teamed up with Jeb Bush to purchase the team, and that investor group completely fell apart, and he had to assemble another investor group.
Yeah.
And the main money man with this group is Bruce Sherman, but don't hear much about him. I think he's a venture capitalist.
Let me see, Bruce Sherman.
In terms of investing, but I don't know. He's not a billionaire.
He's got a crazy $70 million super yacht, apparently.
You know,
that's
one
okay.
of the guy that should have purchased the team, Jorge Mas.
The Mas brothers.
The Mas brothers. They lead the Mas Tech company, engineering company. They're billionaires. Like those are the guys you want purchasing your baseball.
Yeah,
team.
If you look at the other ownerships down here, you've got Mick Harrison, Carnival Cruise Lines, billionaire. Okay, you've got Stephen Ross. Isn't he a real estate mogul?
Yeah, he's a real estate developer for the related companies.
Yeah, so he's a billionaire, gives a ton of money to his alma mater of University of Michigan, and then you've got Vinny Viola, who is up in Wall Street in New York City, a billionaire.
Yep.
Okay, and with a fast trading company, like a rapid fire trading company up there in New York. So, but all these guys with absolutely deep pockets, it's massively deep pockets,
And the ironic thing is about those guys is that they purchase teams that have salary caps.
Yeah.
Even if they wanted to spend all the money they could, they can't. But the one sport where there is no salary cap, we get this group purchasing the team that doesn't have the money. So it pretty much sucks.
Yeah, so, I'm looking here. Bruce Sherman has a $70 million super yacht, so maybe he can sell it so we can afford a pitcher or two.
I don't think there's any chance he's selling his super yacht for some more players.
Okay, well,
he doesn't strike me as the guy.
We could go on about the Marlins, like the sale. I'm sure Dan Le Batard has already beaten that horse to death, and he was the
Dan Le Batard had an amazing segment, maybe like a month
against Rob Manfred.
Rob Manfred, MLB commissioner, where he brought him on the show and asked him straight up, did you know that they were going to slash payroll? And Manfred could not answer the question, and Le Batard was like a pit bull. He would not let go of the question to the point where Manfred got so upset. It was great radio.
He complained to
Absolutely
ESPN about
radio.
it.
Yeah. So, but it's true. Everybody knew, like, the owners just basically rubber stamped the sale. They didn't care. As long as the people had enough money to purchase the team, they didn't care about the plans to run the franchise. They didn't care about making the Marlins a more competitive franchise. None of that mattered to them. All it mattered was, does this group have the money? They do? Great. Congratulations. Here's a baseball team. You know, they weren't looking out for the fans, the community of Miami. They were only looking out for themselves. So that was really disappointing to see.
Well, since I don't want to keep beating that horse, I'm not angry at Derek.
I could beat that.
As you can see, Doug is very angry about it, but I'm not. I'm actually done with being angry at Derek Jeter and the Marlins.
You've come to acceptance.
Yeah, I've come to accept it. Something in my professional career has allowed me to at least like empathize or sympathize, whatever. One of those two words. I think me and Jeter are kindred spirits now, and I hope we can hang out one day. I'll give him my phone so I don't have to take photos like he does with all his parties. But but the Marlins, he's doing some things. I'll trust the process. Okay, I'll trust the process.
Yeah, man. I mean, I will give this despite what I just said and how I feel and how I think this new ownership group is full of it, I will give them a chance because everybody deserves that chance to prove themselves.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, no matter what you believe, you deserve that chance.
And Derek Jeter, like, he kind of he rectified everything by, I'm going to show you guys, by doing one thing, just one thing that I've wanted for so long, for the last, since 2012 or since the end of 2011, the 2011 season. Something that I've been hoping and praying for every single day of my life for this Marlins franchise, and I'm absolutely ecstatic about it. So I'm about to show it to you guys right now. Okay, this is the greatest thing to ever happen in Marlins history, more than the 2003 World Series, more than the 97, more than anything. The Marlins, they that is not what that's supposed to do. Hold on. Let's see. Can I copy this? I'm really excited about this. Okay, Derek Jeter brought me back just by doing this one thing. Okay, fine, Chris Creamer, sports logos. Okay, you want me to go to your website? You can get your ad revenue. I get it.
He found the key to your heart.
Oh, he found the key to my heart. Exactly.
For some people, it's a box of Krispy Kremes. For you, it's this.
It is this. Okay, it is this right here. Okay, he made the 25th anniversary logo for the Marlins. This is the 25th anniversary season, by the way. So it's going to be very depressing, but they're going to be wearing throwback uniforms for at least one series against the Padres. And this is their 25th anniversary logo. As you can see in the corner, there's the current Marlins logo, and this logo the anniversary logo has nothing to do with that look. It is the retro Marlin. It is glorious, and I'm hoping it's a sign from Derek Jeter, like a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like, yeah, we're going to, because I think the Majestic is the current uniform provider for Major League Baseball right now, but it's their last season. Next season, they're going to go to Under Armour, and with a lot of these changes, a lot of teams want to make a lot of changes with the new company, so I'm hoping it's a sign that the Marlins will be pushing back to this retro look, or at least a modernized version of it, or maybe a more streamlined version. Not too streamlined like this one that we have now, but it'll be at least be teal, black, silver with a tiny hint of this red orange that the Marlins currently wear. I'm hoping that's the sign. And Derek Jeter, thank you. I love you so much. I can see why the Yankees fans love you. Okay.
He just needed to bring the teal back, and that's it, man.
That was it. That's all I needed.
Teal is the key to your heart. Now you know. If you want to get to your heart, just
dude. I was so obsessed with the Marlins when I was a kid. My room was teal. My room was painted teal. That shade of teal.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is
amazing.
That is how much I love the Marlins so much.
That's what I feel like. That's what a majority of Marlins fans, they have an emotional connection. It sounds silly to say it, but they have an emotional connection to that color. So many memories.
Honestly, like I think most of Miami loves the Marlins. It's just that they haven't given us much to love back. They haven't loved us back enough.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I don't think it's silly, Doug. I mean, look at the Marlins, or the Dolphins have been here since, the 60s, 70s maybe? 66, there you go. They've always been teal, and then you get the teal of the Marlins coming in, so when they lose that, it kind of breaks your heart a little bit.
Yeah. So, and finally, I guess we're gonna wrap up the Marlins talk. They're currently in spring training. They're actually in the Grapefruit League. They are tied for the I think second place with the Houston Astros with a 9-5 record. So they're not doing too shabby during spring training, but once again, take it with a massive amount of salt. Okay.
A massive amount of salt?
Just like a truckload of salt, just like
okay.
Enough to fill Marlins Park actually.
Okay.
Because this is just spring training, and they have so many young players that are fighting for jobs. So they're going to be impressive. They're going to look good. They're going to put their best foot forward. But maybe once the real games start, and the Marlins, I think they open against the Cubs this season. which is going to be a nightmare.
You know who's gonna like that series though.
Uh, Professor Wasserman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a law school professor of ours who actually made a law review article based on the infield fly rule in baseball. So
yeah, and he's a diehard Cubs fan. I was taking a class with him in 2015 when the Cubs almost made it to the World Series, but then lost. And he was just distraught. He was inconsolable for the next couple of days.
Yeah, well, he finally was redeemed the next season.
Right, but
and finally, just for the positivity, the positive Marlins talk, because we don't hear much of it down here. Lewis Brinson, okay, Lewis frickin' Brinson, all right, the hometown kid from Coral Springs. This guy, he's probably the only guy who wanted to go to the Miami Marlins out of all these trades. That we got him from the Milwaukee Brewers for Christian Yelich, and he grew up. He wears number 9 because his favorite player growing up was Juan Pierre. Okay, he plays center field just like Juan Pierre. He would watch the baseball games from Hard Rock back when it was Pro Player Stadium. Okay,
sitting out there in center field.
Out there in center field, watching Juan Pierre, just not even watching the game, just watching JP doing his thing, and I love Juan Pierre. Okay, I love the entire 2003 Marlins team. That was, if you know, we had them for at least 3 seasons before it was all broken up, so we had something at least. And they had 3 winning seasons. But Lewis Brinson, man, he is. I'm just really excited about him. He's probably going to be really good. He's already one of the top outfield prospects in baseball, and his enthusiasm, you can't. There's not. I'm hoping Derek Jeter doesn't put a value to it, because I know they are very strapped for money. But you got to keep this kid, okay? He is one of the very few players from down here that actually wanted to come back. You know, there's a lot of players from South Florida who play for other teams like Gio Gonzalez and stuff that I'm sure if the Marlins had the money, they could have enticed him to come back home, you know. But Lewis Brinson is here, and he's if there's any hope for the Marlins, it's this kid right here, and I really hope he has a great season and maybe can make the team and maybe be a rep in the All-Star game, whatever. I just want him to be really good. So that's
it's like, it's if we could have a hometown kid become a superstar, no pressure, Lewis Brinson, that would be that would be huge in the community. But even if he's just a good hard-nosed hustle player, he's gonna have fans just because he's a local kid, and we're gonna support him. So very excited to have Lewis Brinson on this team.
all right. So now we're gonna move from, once again, the dumpster fire that is the Marlins to the dumpster fire that is the Dolphins. So Doug, you've got some ideas for the draft?
I've got a proposal on how to turn the franchise around.
Oh, how many points are there? Are there like 100 points? I'm sure there's a lot of points to it.
It's very simple. The heartbeat of every single team, the thing that makes every single team tick, aside from a team's defense, is the quarterback. That defines a lot of franchises. You've had a couple of, outlier teams win Super Bowls with irrelevant quarterbacks.
Yeah,
like
Trent Dilfer has Brad Johnson.
So those are the outlier cases. Most of the time, you've got a real leader at the position, and I like Ryan Tannehill. I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's the quarterback that takes us to the next level. So I do think in the upcoming draft, the Dolphins should target a quarterback. We're lucky that this year you've got a lot of good quarterbacks at the top. You've got Josh Rosen, you've got Sam Darnold, you've got Josh Allen, you've got Baker Mayfield, and you've got Lamar Jackson. Those are 5 great quarterbacks, I think, right there.
Which one would you take out of all of those?
No question about it. Give me Baker Mayfield. Give me the Baker. get the Baker to the Dolphins because
not Thomas
earlier,
Baker, not Thomas Baker.
No, not Tommy Bakes, Baker Mayfield.
Thomas Baker, one of our professors at law school.
Another
the legend
that you guys listening are not going to get. but what I was saying earlier about trading Jarvis Landry and trading away that passion, that spark on the offense, Baker Mayfield brings that back because, as you know, that guy during games is intense. And at times it's gotten him in trouble, but I like that intensity. I like that passion. And some people say, oh, Johnny Manziel is the same way. He was a hothead. He was a head case. But the difference is Baker Mayfield actually cares about the game of football and cares about his teammates.
He respects the game.
You can't say the same thing about Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel was all about, himself, money Manziel, and that was it. Baker Mayfield shows, a passion for the game, and he's a great quarterback. He's not your 6'4", 6'5" Ben Roethlisberger style quarterback. He's I think 6 foot. But so is Russell Wilson. Drew Brees isn't that tall either. So you don't need to be that 6'5" gunslinger. But when the thing that Baker Mayfield is he's a leader, and he's also a very, very accurate quarterback with the ball. He makes great throws, tremendous throws. And during the combine, he showed that his arm strength isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, we
put all that together, you have a great quarterback.
Yeah, I have the highlights of him going in the background right now. He's from high school, and we're gonna get his time in Oklahoma.
He had that drama of him against Kansas. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, explain it for those who don't know.
Okay, so pre-game, before the game, Baker Mayfield went to shake the leaders for Kansas. You know how before every game the leaders, you got 3 players from each team going to center field to shake each other's hands.
Right.
And so they went to do that, and they refused to shake Baker Mayfield's hand. So that just fired him up right there. And then on top of that, I think they got a couple of cheap shots at him in the game, and that fired him up even more. So he was basically saying, like, who the hell are you, Kansas football?
Yeah, exactly. This is a basketball.
You win like 1-2 games a year. Yeah, he said that to the fans. He told the fans, go home, go watch basketball. I love that. I love that passion. And then at the end of the game, he's looking at the Kansas players' sideline, and he's basically grabbing his nuts and telling them to go screw themselves.
Nice.
I want him to do that to Bill Belichick and the Patriots. I want that same thing to happen when we beat the Patriots of Baker Mayfield. I just want him to just show Bill Belichick what's up. He will be an instant legend in South Florida if he were to beat the Patriots and do that. Like if there's a Mount Rushmore of South Florida sports, he would make his case for that if he were to do that, because that's our Super Bowl. We don't go to the real Super Bowls, so those little threes are what matters to us. But there's a chance Baker Mayfield drops to us. We're picking 11, so I see a lot of mock drafts with the New York Jets, that crappy franchise, picking Baker Mayfield. So if we really do want Baker, and we've interviewed him, we've worked him out, and I think we're flying him down here. I think we might be flying him to Davie, the Dolphins headquarters. So they are showing interest, whether it's a smokescreen or not, who knows. But if they are serious about it, they may have to make a move to trade up for him, because he may not be there at number 11. But if he's not there, I also like Lamar Jackson, who I think is underrated.
Okay, before you get to Lamar Jackson, Doug, here's a photo that Andrew just posted right here. I'm gonna post it right here too. And there it is. That's not Jay Cutler. That's not Jay Cutler. All right. Just letting you know, it's not Jay Cutler. Okay.
Yeah, nope. That's definitely not Jay Cutler.
That's the dream right there.
That's the dream. Exactly, the dream. The picture should have the caption, "The Dream."
Yeah, and obviously in a new uniform as well, because the Dolphins have to change that logo.
Right. They're not. Yeah, that's another bone to pick of Stephen Ross, but that's for another.
But they said they're gonna change it. They said that it would. They called it it wouldn't be a revolutionary change. It would be an evolutionary change, which I have no idea what they mean by that. It's all logo
I kind of
BS.
hope
They turn.
I hope they put more
Well,
orange.
let's be honest. People, marketing types, they always like to keep things.
Yeah, exactly. Some people joke like on Twitter and stuff. It's like so the Dolphins is gonna have an evolutionary logo. So does that mean it's I'm actually trying not to get the punchline here. I'm laughing already. It means that the Dolphins gonna come out of the water and get legs, right?
You just stole my joke. Thanks a lot.
Well, it was already said. It was already said like on Twitter. I'm sorry, I stole your thunder. I'm sorry.
Well, you can make it up to me by letting me do my third topic.
Well, we're gonna do all the topics, so yeah. Okay,
I
so
was just trying to create a nice segue for you there.
okay, and finally, what was it the other quarterback, your number 2, Doug?
Oh, Lamar Jackson. I'll keep it short, but I think he's very underrated in his draft, and that guy is a play like Baker Mayfield. He's a playmaker, and that attracts me is people able to make plays, when things break down, because as we know, when you play for the Dolphins, things are breaking down all the time. The offensive line is
Oh
blowing
my
blocks,
gosh.
they're blowing assignments. Receivers are running the wrong routes. That's what the Dolphins are. The Dolphins break down. So if you're a playmaker, you can make things happen. You have my attention, and that's why Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson have my attention.
Nice. Okay. All right, so that's a little bit about the Miami Dolphins draft, about getting an actual quarterback, someone who's actually a quarterback, trying to get a franchise quarterback, because the Dolphins have been coasting for so long with just these guys who have been career backups or just mediocre to average quarterbacks who just aren't superstars like Tom Brady or Cam Newton or Ben Roethlisberger or Matt Ryan, anybody like that. Dolphins haven't had anybody like that since Dan Marino, and and before Dan Marino was Bob Greasy, so it's been way too long. All right, so let's move on to the next topic, which is a national story, and it's probably the feel-good story of the entire sports world for the last year, and it's continuing. It's still moving on, and that is the brand new NHL franchise out in Las Vegas, the Vegas Golden Knights. Not to be confused with the UCF Knights, okay, as I've been told before.
Thank you.
All right, so
I'm just making your life easier because
all right, so
then you're not going to be murdered.
Yeah, so Dan Friola, Andrew, you got you got the floor.
All right. Well, Vegas Golden Knights, this is their first year, their inaugural season out in Las Vegas, and they are doing something that literally no other NHL team has ever done.
No other expansion franchise in North American sports.
Right. They have the most wins and the most points for any NHL expansion team in their first season, dethroning your beloved Florida Panthers.
Yep.
We were actually talking about that. There's a banner up in the rafters at BB&T Center that says most points and most wins for expansion team.
Yeah,
that's going to have to come down now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just absolutely incredible what the Golden Knights are doing. I saw so many polls at the beginning of the year. How will they do? Will they make it into the playoffs? How far will they go? Nobody gave these guys a chance at all. There was absolutely no indication that they were going to be the number 2 team in the league, the number 1 team in the Western Conference.
Nope.
Only a couple of points behind the President's Cup leading Tampa Bay Lightning. There was absolutely no indication, but they just kind of have this, as I've heard someone mention it, a next man up mentality because they've lost. I think each of their goaltenders has been.
They had an ECHL goaltender, and for those who don't know, that's like It's the NHL, then the American Hockey League, and then the ECHL, which is like Double A, if you want to think about it in baseball terms. But you shouldn't be able to get to that goalie in the modern game.
Yeah, their number one goalie is Marc-Andre Fleury, originally from the Panthers.
The Penguins.
I did not get a lot of sleep last night. Thank you, daylight savings time.
I wish.
Originally from the Pittsburgh Penguins. He got transferred over to the Golden Knights in the expansion draft, and he's just been standing on his head playing, except when he's been injured, in which case Malcolm Subban has been coming in, and that's the younger brother of the Predators' PK Subban. But they keep losing their goalies, and they keep finding another goalie to take their place and do extremely well. And then you've got, well, you guys can chime in too, because I don't want to.
Oh yeah, no, I've got the highlights from last night's game. They beat everybody beats them, the Buffalo Sabres, but it took them a shoot. Okay, another tangent here. The NHL, I don't know, they've got an issue with these three franchises: the Buffalo Sabres, the Arizona Coyotes, and the Edmonton Oilers. Okay, because for the last 5 seasons, I think 5 or more seasons, the bottom 3 teams in the NHL consists of basically those 3 teams. Okay, or at least the bottom 5. The bottom 5 teams consist of those 3 teams, and the Edmonton Oilers have won every draft lottery since the beginning of time now. for what it seems. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. The Coyotes, I have no idea where they're going to stay, where they're going to move. They're going to move to Toronto or Hartford or Seattle or Houston or Saskatoon. I have no idea. And then
you have to be a topic for another time.
That's another time.
Proposal for that.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Sabres, and the Sabres are they're just awful. They're just really awful. And they're dirty, and I have no idea how they're going to resurrect that franchise. But like everything in Buffalo, I mean, everything's just horrible and miserable. And, maybe not the Bills for at least at least for like a couple weeks. Or 1 week, actually, they were on top of the world. The Vegas Golden Knights, they are at the expense of the Florida Panthers in every single way, historically, and from getting their coach and their 2 best players, or to one of their 2 best players, or 2 of their best players, are a sensation.
You're welcome, Las Vegas.
Yeah. So, but I'm happy for Vegas. The NHL.
It's a great story.
Yeah, the NHL needed them to be good. Actually, they needed that, and the whole thing with the shooting in Vegas before the season started, kind of brought everything to perspective, and actually inspired the team. So, and that's another thing the Panthers have also been inspired by the Parkland shooting. We're not going to talk about that. That's more political stuff that you guys can go on Facebook and Twitter and have people yell and scream over there about that. I'm just mentioning it, and don't take it personally. That's the Vegas Golden Knights. I don't know if you want to say anything more about it, Andrew.
I guess I'll just say that, hindsight being 2020, I guess it makes sense that the Golden Knights are doing this well. I mean, like you said, you've got a couple of really good players from the Panthers. One of them, Jonathan Marchessault.
Yeah.
Of course, Marc-Andre Fleury is he's right up there with Sidney Crosby in the Mount Rushmore of Penguins players. He backstopped them to like 2 or 3 Stanley Cups.
Yep.
I've been racking my brain about this all season. How on earth are they doing so good? But really, for me, I'm just thinking they just picked up a lot of really good players that teams thought were disposable.
Yep.
And putting them all together just clicked for some reason, and as a result, you've got a team that's on track to get home ice advantage for for at least the entire Western Conference playoffs.
Yeah, they're actually thinking Stanley Cup, which is
and that's
insane.
unbelievable. I thought they might make a run at the playoffs, but I never in my wildest dreams, and I don't think anybody would have imagined this, that they would be in line to be not just going to the playoffs, but potentially getting the President's Cup for the number one team in the league and have a realistic shot of going to the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't think anybody would have imagined that going into this season.
No, not at all.
Nope. Yep. So great story. I can't wait to see them in the playoffs. See how Vegas comes out for that. And good luck to whoever they're facing, because that's going to be whoever they face. Nobody's going to be cheering for them other than their fans. Okay, everybody's going to be wanting the Knights to do well. Okay, all right. So that's the Vegas Golden Knights, and they won last night against the Sabres, and they just keep winning, and who knows when that thing is going to end. All right, so I guess we're going to get on to my last topic for this podcast, and we're going to wrap things up after that. So, okay, this is a whole thing, and we all have opinions about it because this kind of encapsulates it encapsulates, I guess, not just basketball, but I guess all of sports regarding the NCAA and how they do things and their practice and the whole thing about amateur sports. Because the NCAA and all of these universities, there have been so many scandals, so much corruption. These coaches are getting paid millions. Some of these coaches are the highest paid public employees in their states, okay? In a ton of these places. So, but yet, and they make money off of these tournaments and bowl games, these universities and the NCAA tournaments, bowl games, all the ad revenue, all the sponsorships, all that stuff. And yet not a single dime of it, other than scholarships, not a single dime of it goes to any single one of the athletes, okay? And these athletes put in, not only are they going to school, okay? Think what you want. Maybe some of them are in a major that you think isn't really that hard or whatever, but they're still going to school. They still have to take their classes. But then after that, they have to train, okay? They have to eat right, train well, and they live their own lives, and yet they're only provided the scholarship. Some of them aren't provided housing. Some of them aren't provided enough money for food. And many of these athletes depend on these scholarships because they come from their, other maybe lower middle class to poverty means. Okay, a ton of these players are the actual hope for their families to become something through a college education or through being good enough to make it to professional levels. However, the NCAA doesn't pay them a dime, and if a player even so much as accepts a handout, even for something little, something tiny, the NCAA immediately either bans them or suspends them, tells them they can't play, or they relinquish a scholarship. They do all kinds of things to these players. I think, Andrew, wasn't it a UCF player that had a YouTube channel?
Mm-hmm.
And
Donald DeLahaye.
Yeah.
Donald DeLahaye.
Exactly. He explain that a little bit for people, if you're familiar with it.
Well, Donald DeLahaye, he was a place kicker, so that would be field goals for the UCF Knights. He has a YouTube channel. If you want, I can send you the link.
Actually,
so you can
I'll look
post
for it right
for
now.
People.
How do you spell okay,
so
DeLahaye,
he has a
I got him.
YouTube channel, and he was monetizing it because he met the YouTube criteria for it.
Yep.
And his content is mainly, his life as a student athlete, things like that. And De La Haye was told by the UCF compliance office, and I want to make this extremely clear. It's not UCF's fault, and I'm not saying this to defend UCF, but
Right. So
well,
you can
it
see his
is
channel
and it
here.
isn't, and I'll explain. UCF became worried that De La Haye's monetizing his, he set a football on fire. Okay. That him monetizing his content might run afoul of NCAA rules for profiting on his own image. So they got in touch with the NCAA and worked out an agreement because the NCAA, I'm assuming, told them, yeah, this is going to be an issue. So they said, okay, well, the main issue is that the NCAA was thinking, you're using your status as a student athlete to make money from advertisements, and I don't know how much money you make from advertisements on YouTube. You would know better than I, but I can't imagine it was that much.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he lost the scholarship, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's a video right here, actually, of it.
Yeah, they came up with a deal. UCF petitioned the NCAA to say, look, if he continue playing if he demonetizes videos where he's talking about his student athlete status, but monetizes anything else. And the NCAA said, sure. De La Haye decided not to take the deal, and thus he was stripped of his scholarship for being ineligible. Now, it's just a bad situation overall, and I could really talk about this for hours since I have a lot of very strong opinions on this. But keeping with this main topic, I think it's just stupid that, and I think the whole, and I'll just keep it simple since I don't want to ramble on for an hour.
Yeah.
But I think it's just stupid that the NCAA doesn't give any sort of compensation to players aside from scholarships and stuff, considering how much work they do for the school. My feelings on it are a bit more complicated than that, but essentially, it's even if all that stood, he's making like a few dollars off of advertisements.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything publicly profiting from.
Yeah, he was a lot smaller back then. And for those of you who don't know, I've been on YouTube for 12 years now. I'm ancient when it comes to YouTube. I've seen every trend. I've seen YouTube poops. I've seen anime music videos. I've done it all. I've done gaming live streams. I've done everything that I could with my channel. But my channel is a stupid thing that I have. It's nothing anything serious. I have my career that I have separately from it. So I'm not depending on this channel like other people are on YouTube. But this guy, he obviously had a scholarship. But the ad revenue, he's blown up now. He's got 580,000 subscribers now. But I'm sure his ad revenue is good enough to provide for maybe gas or some food and stuff, but it's not enough to sustain yourself unless you're like one of these massive YouTubers who have, I don't know, who get like 100,000 plus per video, and they have to churn out videos every day just to keep, just be able to keep paying the bills. So for him, that added revenue, it's enough for him in college. That was good enough for him to buy food and gas, I guess, which is great. Okay, food and gas, and maybe go towards his rent or whatever. So it sucks that the NCAA was, being, douches about it. If pardon the language, but douches about it from just a little bit of ad revenue.
An R rating on this video now. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna get demonetized for that for saying that. But ad revenue isn't that much, and it's only enough. I don't make that much myself, but it's enough for me to, I don't know, get a Happy Meal at McDonald's or something. But not that I eat McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or something. But it's ridiculous. It's silly, and well, we're gonna roll into what LeBron James had said about the NCAA, and he obviously he came straight out of high school, phenom, and is one of the greatest basketball players ever. But the one and done rule, I don't think it works for the basketball.
No,
And
it doesn't work.
no, it doesn't work. I mean, Kevin Durant was a one and done, and it would have been nice for him to stay at in Texas, whatever, and realize the whole thing or what have you, or make his own choice. And he made his own choice just to leave, to make money because he was that good.
That's the thing. The top players in the country are not going to go to a school and then decide to stay there for all 4 years and get their degree.
Exactly.
The only reason why they're going there in the first place is because they need to in order to get to the NBA.
Exactly.
That is the only reason.
Mm-hmm.
They're not showing up to class or they're doing just the bare minimums. It's a joke. The one and done rule is a joke.
Yeah, it is a joke. It is a joke. And LeBron's proposal to extend the G League. Like, I'm a fan of the NBA G League, and the Miami Heat are fans of the G League. Pat Riley is actually a fan of it. You know, Pat Riley is Mr. Whale Hunter, Mr. Captain Ahab, whatever. He's out there.
The G League has it's given us so many of our players between Hassan Whiteside and Rodney McGruder and Tyler Johnson, and it's paid off. It can work if it's supported.
Yeah, and it works for teams like the Miami Heat are. I don't consider us a small market franchise. I think we're at the top. We're at the top 10 as far as a market franchise, and we're one of those franchises that are up there as far as reputation in the NBA now, up there with the Lakers and the Spurs and the Celtics. Okay, but it works for the small market teams, like let's say the Orlando Magic. Okay, the Orlando Magic. The G League works for them, or the Indiana Pacers, or the Utah Jazz. Just these teams that even though there is a salary cap, just it's hard for them to compete with the glitz and glamour of cities like New York or Miami or LA, or Boston or Chicago. So it allows them to develop their own players. They grow up under the system, and maybe they can keep them, maybe like what you're seeing out in Milwaukee. Okay. Obviously, in the NBA, drafting a phenom is basically what you need to do in order to be successful in the league. But a lot of players aren't going to be phenoms coming out of the one and done. Okay? A lot of them are good enough for college. Maybe they have a great tournament or what have you, and they think, okay, I'm going to declare. And the horrible thing is, isn't it like if they declare, they can't go back to the school even if they go undrafted?
I think if they hire an agent.
Right.
I think if they, I may be wrong, but I think it's if they hire an agent, they can't go back.
Which is, it's crazy. It's really crazy that they prevent you from, okay, I couldn't go, why don't I keep my scholarship and I can just finish school? At least give me that, throw me a bone, okay? And LeBron's proposal, and I think Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, is also on board with this, and it's good for basketball because it just grows the game, is to have a more robust minor league system, because the G League is fairly new compared to the minor league systems of Major League Baseball and the National Hockey League. And it's growing, and I think every team finally has an affiliate out there. Like the Miami Heat's affiliate are the Sioux Falls Skyforce, who play out in South Dakota. Okay.
Completely opposite type of environment compared to Miami.
But definitely a great incentive for the players that play there. Like, hey, if I do well enough, I can leave South Dakota and go to Miami.
Yeah, definitely an incentive. No offense to you South Dakotans out there.
Yeah, but minor league systems grow the game all over the place. You have minor league teams in these small towns, these small cities, that, it's nice. Like here, we have, I'm up here in Palm Beach County, but I live in Miami too. But we have the teams in Jupiter, the Palm Beach Cardinals and the Jupiter Hammerheads. It's nice going to the game and seeing the future stars. Okay, I remember when Jose Fernandez was alive, I think he came straight out of Jupiter, straight to the Marlins. But you could tell, like, man, this kid is going to be awesome. And that's great for small towns, and it's great for growing the game. But it's great for the players most of all. because one, they're going to get the development time, okay? Because they just need games. They need game time. They need game speed. Because you can practice all you want with the big squad, but once you reach the NBA or the NHL or MLB, like, it's a whole different level, okay?
Mm.
And some of them aren't ready for that. I mean, look at Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, that's he wasn't ready.
Yeah, he's not ready. He's just not ready. And because he's a number one pick and whatever, he's not going to go down to the G League. I don't know why. He should go. He should go to the G League.
He should go. He needs the development.
He needs reps.
He needs to find his confidence. Yeah, he needs to find his confidence, and no better way than to go to the G League and just get minutes, because he's not going to get the minutes in Philly.
It's the same in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you look at baseball or hockey, I mean, a lot of these kids come out. Some of them are like studs. But you know what? Sometimes they're just not ready. Maybe they play a couple games up in the big leagues, but they're just like, nope, not yet. Go back down, work on your game. We'll see you next year or whatever, or we'll see you in September if you're in baseball. So the NBA needs something like that. I don't know if they could have a second league to get more players, because the NCAA's stranglehold on basketball players and football players actually too prevents them from choosing either high school or college, which is what hockey and baseball players have. They can choose to go to college, they can choose to go to hockey or professionals. So they can, that's the second thing for those players that come out. They'll develop their game, but also they're getting paid. They're getting paid for all the hours upon hours they do training, nutrition, and playing games, and making money for these teams. Because for a lot of these universities, the bread and butter is just that money that comes in from going to the stupid whatever bowl game in Birmingham, Alabama, of all places. But the sponsor is giving you that money for your school, and those players deserve something for it. So I'm all for a G League expansion, or basically the end of the one and done rule in basketball. Because
and that the end of the one and done rule ultimately has to come down to the NBA, because they're the one that institutes the rule that you have to be, I think, 19 years of age or older to play in the NBA. So that forces the players' hands in terms of either going to college, or the only other alternative right now is going overseas.
Yeah, that's the other alternative. They want to get paid, just like the other Ball brother, the other two Ball brothers.
Gosh.
But that's a whole different mess that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah,
But still, it's still something that they chose to do. You know what? I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to go over there. And they shouldn't be punished for having that choice. Okay?
Right.
Like, no player should be punished for choosing to go to college or choosing to do something else. I mean,
if they
silly.
do expand, the G League to make it more of a comprehensive minor leagues, like a feeder system for NBA teams, they can also look into expanding the NBA draft, throw in a third round, so you have first round pick, second round pick, and third round pick. I do believe back in the day, before my time, there were more rounds in the NBA draft than just 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So they could do that as well, and give more of these players a chance.
Exactly.
Having only 2 rounds is pretty. It's hard. Your odds of getting drafted are so much smaller than if you're in football, where you have 7 rounds.
And so many of those players, even
though baseball, where you have like 30 something.
Yeah. Hockey and baseball and in football have so many rounds, but a lot of the players that are drafted, a lot of them don't make it to the NBA. They're stuck in the G League or what have you. But that's good. I mean, because look at Hassan Whiteside. Once again, the G League helped him. Eventually, it helps. Eventually, some of them break out and get their big payday in the NBA, or finally make it. So
There's plenty of talent you can find in the G League that can contribute in today's NBA. You just need more support for the players down there.
Yeah, they need more support, and I think the NCAA's whole system is all messed up. I used to think that the scholarship was enough, but it really isn't enough. And it sucks that a lot of them, they take something like this, just to feed themselves or what have you, and the NCAA, they just come down with the big hammer, like nope, you're done, no more, you can't play, and so now
unless you're Jameis Winston and you're stealing crab legs from Publix, that's a different story.
Well, Jameis is. I used to defend him all the time when he was, but he's not. He's no longer my Florida State fans' issues. He's Tampa's problem. So
you've dropped responsibility for defending.
Yeah, I can talk to our friend Drew about Jameis and his antics. That's the Buccaneers' issues now. Okay. So I don't know. You guys have anything more to say about the NCAA and how horrible they are?
No, I think we summed up how bad they are, how corrupt and dirty they are.
Yeah. I think you got it pretty covered.
Yeah, there's more in-depth stuff about them, and you can see the scandals going on, like at Michigan State and just these other places, and just coaches and athletic directors. Just it's really dirty. It's really dirty, and it sucks that the players have to suffer for it when they really shouldn't. Okay, because I know a lot of players get in trouble with the law and things like that, but that's something separate. If they're trying to feed themselves by taking a handout, just a generous handout, whatever, okay, fine. Like, I get that they're trying to keep from, like, I think SMU, whatever, was banned for a while, trying to keep things competitive and keep things fair. But still, if you're gonna do that, at least have some compensation for the players. That way, they don't have to think about taking that handout back under the table type of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So.
It's unfortunate, but that's what money does.
Yeah, it is, but there's so much to go around that it shouldn't be that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So we are at the 2-hour mark, and I think we went through all our topics. We just went through all of them. So
we did. Covered them.
This was the first edition of the Sports Goofs podcast. I don't know when we're going to do the next one. We'll probably do this either monthly or maybe bi-weekly, something like that. Enough to have some new articles to talk about and new stories.
Yeah, you can't do it too much because then you just run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, because sometimes things just don't happen or nothing huge happens just yet. But when next time we do this, we'll probably be in the thick of March Madness. So there will be plenty to talk about for there. That is for sure.
Yep. See if Grayson Allen trips anybody else.
Yeah, we can. I'll see if I can have a YouTube highlight of him tripping people.
Yeah, exactly. A montage.
Yeah.
Draw something up.
And the NHL and NBA seasons are coming to a close, so the playoff races are going to be getting tight. So hopefully the Panthers and the Heat are in a good position the next time we talk about them. And then spring training will be wrapping up as well, and we'll anticipate the Marlins, and the NFL draft will be getting closer and closer. The mock drafts are going on right now. People are speculating, people predicting, and obviously the national stuff. We'll see what happens there. So thank you to Dougie Souls for your time.
Yeah, no problem, man.
For this first one.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, for putting yourself out there. And then thank you to Dan Frijoles.
My pleasure.
Alrighty. So if you want to follow Dougie Souls, he doesn't have as many social media things as me or Damp, but he's got his Xbox account. So if you want to, play some Rocket League or some stuff against him,
hit me up on Xbox.
Yeah, you can get Meridius1. And then you got Dan Frijoles. He's on Twitter. He's got a YouTube channel. He does some PS4 live streams of some games that he's got there. He's on Steam, on
when I
Xbox.
feel like it.
Yeah, when he feels like it, when he feels like firing up that PS4. I think he's got NHL.
Right.
You got NHL, right? And MLB or something.
And I made it easy for you all. Everything is damn frijoles, so
yeah.
Just kind of search that, and you'll more than likely find me.
Yeah, and well, I'm FGOGR. Once again, established 2006, 12 years on YouTube, and
the OG.
Yeah, the OG. Yeah, I'm ancient. So made this when I was freaking teenager, and yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube, as you can obviously see and tell. I'm on Steam. I play Rocket League mostly on Steam. I haven't played in a while, but play Rocket League against Doug. You can always join our parties. We haven't done one in a while.
Yeah.
We gotta do that
No,
again.
I know. I haven't played in a while, dude. It's I probably don't even know like how to do anything.
Yeah, I think the B button is the boost.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be that, or it could be like a flip or something. Who knows?
Yeah,
so you actually try it and find out.
Yeah, I'm on FG. I have an Xbox account, but it's on my PC, FGOGR64. I had Forza, but I don't play it much. And then I have a PSN account. I don't have a PS4 or a PlayStation Vita, but nobody owns a PlayStation Vita, so that's fine.
It's the unicorn.
But I do have a Nintendo Switch, and there's my Switch friend code. And I play a lot of Splatoon. So, and of course, I'm on Letterboxd Cats, one of the writers there. I don't write as much anymore because of work and everything, but every once in a while I do a recap of the Panthers, and I go to a cover a game if I can. And so, yeah, this is the end of the first Sports Goofs podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. You're going to see some end card screens now. You're going to see, I guess, my logo. You'll see Dan Friolis' logo. And you'll see like 2 videos probably, or a playlist suggested. And I guess my Patreon page, so maybe you can donate to us and we can actually make this a lot better. or we could just take the money and go to like Burger King or something. So
or we could just save it and use your ad revenue to get a Happy Meal for us.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks everybody. Take care. Bye bye. We'll see you next time.